The last 5 years of your working career are the most important as you prepare for retirement. In today's video, I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to show you 5 things you can do to make the most of these years. Hey everybody, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and I'm here to teach you how to get the most out of life with your money. So why is it that your last 5 years of your working career are so much more important as you prepare for retirement? Well, there's many reasons, but in today's video, I'm going to highlight the 5 most important aspects that you need to focus on to make the most of your retirement planning. Number 1, the first reason is compound interest really starts to pay off. Now we're all told about the power of compound interest, but here's the thing about it. It doesn't really start to pay off until you get much closer to retirement. Let's use Warren Buffett, for example. As of today, Warren Buffett's worth about $110 billion, a staggering amount of money. However, Warren Buffett didn't first become a billionaire until the age of 56, meaning for Warren Buffett, well over 99% of his net worth was grown after the age of 56. Now, you and I are never going to have $110 billion, nor do we need to worry about having $110 billion. But the principle remains of so much of Warren's net worth happened after the age of 56, the same thing applies to us. So much of the power of compounding happens in those last few years before you retire. A very common example is your portfolio value could very well double in the last 5 years of your working career. How is that the case? Well, let's look at this. Let's assume you're 60 years old and you want to retire at the age of 65 on $1.5 million, and today you have $750,000. I mean, it took you your entire working career to grow from 0 to $750,000. How on earth are you going to get that $750,000 to $1.5 million, effectively doubling it and adding another $750,000? Well, let's assume that you have 2 spouses and you're both maxing out your 401k, which is $30,000 per year for this year. And let's assume that you both get a match of $4,000 from your employer. If you get an 8% growth rate from age 60 to age 65, you will have grown your portfolio from $750,000 to $1.5 million. Meaning it took you maybe 40 years to grow that first $750,000, and then it only takes you 5 years to grow by another $750,000. The reason for that is twofold. One is compounding, as we're mentioning, but also your latter years, that's when you have the most flexibility to actually save a whole lot for retirement. Before that, you're saving for college, you're saving for a home, you're saving for all these different things. Then all of a sudden, in your peak earning years, maybe kids are out of the house, mortgage is in line, you have all this excess income, it becomes a lot easier to save because you're not having to do everything that you once did. So if we can use these last few years to really focus on the power of compounding, it's not inconceivable to think that your money could double or more in the 5 years leading up to retirement. So principle number 1 here is this is when compounding really starts to pay off. The second reason these last 5 years before retirement are so important is you really start to understand what it will actually cost to retire. If you ask a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old, hey, how much do you need to retire on? It's a very difficult question. They're raising families, they're trying to save for a home, they're doing all these different things today with their stage of life than you will be in the 5 years prior to retirement. So in those 5 years, you're starting to get an accurate sense of, okay, what do I want my retirement to look like? What will travel look like? What will leisure look like? What will lifestyle look like? And as some of these expenses start to fall away, or at least start to diminish when it comes to the cost of raising a family, buying a home, having various jobs, you start to get a very clear picture. Your retirement expenses is one of the most important variables in determining the success of your financial plan. So if you ask a 40-year-old, hey, what will it cost to retire? The answer is probably, I have no idea. It's just too far off for me to even think about, and there's too many other things going on that are demanding my attention. But if you have someone who's 60 or 62 or 65, what will it cost to retire? They'll still probably say, I have no idea. Well, they'll have a much greater sense of, okay, here's the actual things I want to do, and can come up with an answer much easier than they could 10, 20, 30 years earlier. So use those last 5 years leading up to retirement to estimate what retirement might cost, and then refine that and refine that and refine that. So by the time that you actually retire, you have a very clear picture of what it will cost to do what you want to do. The third reason that the 5 years leading up to retirement are so important is it's a chance to pay for the big things up front. So those last 5 years, chances are good you might have a very healthy income relative to the rest of your career. Those might be some of your highest income years. Take advantage of that. Do you have a roof that needs to be repaired? Do you have a new car that needs to be purchased? Do you have some big things that can be prepaid? By doing that, you're setting yourself up both for financial success by not having to come out of pocket for these things in retirement on a fixed income, but also for emotional success. One of the most difficult things to do in retirement is bring yourself to spend. And sometimes if you have a big thing that you have to spend money on, have a big car purchase or a big home repair, a big something else, that's very difficult emotionally. And it's going to give you a lot of fear or anxiety that you're spending too much in retirement if you leave those big expenses for then. The fourth reason those last 5 years are so important is it's an opportunity to take care of any medical procedures as needed. Now, granted, we can't control our health. We can't control when certain things will happen. But if you have good health insurance through your employer, use it. Those last few years leading up to retirement, and maybe specifically those last few months leading up to retirement, any procedures you know that you'll need, any visits that you know you'll need, get everything checked. Use that insurance for what it's worth so that going into retirement, you've done the most you can on your employer's bill so that leading into it, you're not coming out of pocket for major expenses. So using those years and those months to best prepare lessens the burden on your early retirement years to have to pay for everything. And then the fifth reason those years are so important is it gives you a chance to start dreaming. 5 years out, you can really start to see it. You can really start to feel it. If it's not here yet, but it's just around the corner. As I mentioned before, in your 30s or your 40s, you're hardly thinking of retirement. Hopefully you're saving to a 401k, hopefully you're putting some money away, but you're not actively obsessed or actively consumed with understanding what will retirement actually look like. You're raising a family, you're buying homes, you're trying to advance in your career. There's all these other things that are competing for your attention. Well, the last few years leading up to retirement, a lot of those things are no longer on your plate as much. So you can fully devote this time to not just saying, what do I need to do financially to get ready for retirement, but what do I want to do personally and emotionally to get ready for retirement? What can I do now to prepare to make this the best season of my life? In terms of understanding that retirement, it's a blank canvas. What do I want to spend my days doing? What do I want to spend my weeks, my months, my years doing? How can I be intentional about making sure I have something to retire into? So it's not just retiring and then wandering aimlessly trying to figure out what to do, but it's retiring and it's having a routine and it's knowing what's going to come and it's knowing what trips I want to take and what activities I want to do and who I want to spend my days with. Those last 5 years are a wonderful time to start dreaming, because if you don't, and if you're just focused on the financial side, then you're going to prepare and you're going to have your 401k funded and your Roth IRAs funded and your mortgage paid off and your brokerage account built up and your emergency funded. But you get to retirement and you're scared to pull the trigger because you don't know what's on the other side of that from a personal standpoint or an emotional standpoint. So if you're not dreaming about what do you want that time to look like and then taking steps to make sure that you are actively involved in creating that outcome, you're not going to feel confident in your decision to retire. So this is why the 5 years leading up to retirement are so important. It's a chance to both financially and emotionally prepare for this wonderful time in your life. So take advantage of it. Make sure that you're doing all the things that you need to do so that retirement can be one of the best seasons of your life. Now, believe it or not, sometimes one of the best things you can do to prepare for retirement is to stop saving for retirement once you've hit a certain point. If that sounds counterintuitive, I explain why that's the case in this video here. Once again, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and if you're interested in seeing how we help our clients at Root Financial get the most out of life with their money, be sure to visit us at www.rootfinancialpartners.com.